What people think about real estate is usually the exciting parts. The touring the homes, signing the contracts, getting the keys, but what they don't see is what's happening behind the scenes to get that contract to the closing table. And sometimes deals fall apart for reasons you wouldn't even expect. I spent many years behind the scenes in real estate. I've seen what really happened from contract to close. And I want to share a few things that most buyers and sellers never see and why most real estate deals never make it to the finish line. One thing most people don't realize is that not every contract closes. I've previously had a situation in where a buyer was under contract. Everything was going smoothly. Then he purchased a brand new car before closing. That one decision changed their debt and credit profile. And unfortunately, that deal fell apart. A lot of buyers do not realize how sensitive the mortgage process is. Another thing people don't see is how many people are behind the scenes. You have the lender, of course, that's the person that's going to help you get that loan, right? We have to get to the loan company. The lender is who you'll need. You have that title company. They're the ones that usually deal with the closing, unless you have an escrow officer. I believe Georgia does attorneys. So they're the ones that do all the signing of the contracts. They do the title checks and make sure everything is good. But in other states like Tennessee, you just have a title company that does the escrow for you. Next, you have the appraisers. They're the ones that's going to let you know, if you're the buyer, if that house is worth what you're buying it for. Or if you're the seller, it's going to let you know if what you're putting your house up for is worth it or not. So that's very important there. You also have inspectors. Inspectors are very important. I always encourage people to make sure you get an inspection, even if it's a new build. And I'm guilty of it because I have a new build and I did not get a second outside inspection. Always get that second inspection just to be on the safe side. But inspections help the buyers know what they are dealing with when they're buying that house. It lets you know if the roof is not falling apart. It lets you know if there's any cracks or water leaks somewhere within that house. It's very vital that buyers get inspections. Next person to deal you have are transaction coordinators. Sometimes I was once a transaction coordinator. Now, for any of my deals, I did not have a transaction coordinator. I did it myself. But transaction coordinators are very much behind the scenes, and they're the ones just helping the agents to get their paperwork and process along the way while the agents work on other deals, right? Transaction coordinators are here to help the agents get their process through smoothly so they can continue on with their business on getting more deals out the way. So they're very key as well if your agent has a transaction coordinator. And the last thing is, of course, an agent. Agents are very vital because they are supposed to be either the seller or the buyer's talking person. They're supposed to be the ones that's going to advocate for either that seller or that buyer if that's their client. They're the ones that's going to either get that house sold or the ones that's going to get the deal closed for you to buy the house. They need to make sure they're on point because I've seen deals fall apart from some horrible agents. But yes, agents will be the last thing a part of that deal. Each step has to happen in the right order for everything to come together. Keep in mind, even the smallest delays can affect that timeline. Real estate isn't just paperwork, it's also emotional. You have buyers that's stressed, you have sellers that's nervous, you have the negotiations of the contract between the agents. And I can say for myself, as a two-time buyer, right? I haven't sold my first house yet, so I can't say I'm a seller yet, but as a two-time buyer, it was very much stressful. Very, very, very stressful. I would say my first time buying wasn't as stressful as my second time buying. And here's why. My first time buying, it was my first time buying a house. It was the middle of the pandemic. I kind of already pre-prep myself ahead of time to know what to expect because again, I'm an agent. I'm in real estate. I've been in real estate since 2012, so I kind of already know what to expect, know what to have all my paperwork in order, and plus, I take that back. It probably was a little little stressful my first time around because it was the pandemic and we were moving at the same time. I forgot about that. We moved from Georgia to Tennessee. And in the middle of that moving, I also had a job transfer. Well, I had not a job transfer, but I had a job shift change. I ended up leaving one job and getting hired on to another one. And that's one thing you don't want to do. I'll do another video on things to not do when you're buying a home. Because you know what? That almost cost me the deal. I did a oopsie on myself and I'm an agent as well. But I could not turn down that job offer. It was way, way, way better than the previous job I was already working. So I kind of just talked to my lender and he helped me. And I kind of explained to him the process, told him how much way more I'll be making. I mean, it was almost triple what I was already making. So he's like, you know what? Since it's in the same real estate deal, we'll go with it. And it was still, I've been in real estate, whether I'm working a 9-to-5 job, contract, or just a real agent. I've always been in real estate. So it was easy to just transition because it was in that same industry. Don't mean you do it because sometimes that don't stick. So I'll do another video on that later and another, further on down the line on what not to do when you're buying a house. But that was a little stressful only because of that. I was very nervous because of that. But however, I got all my paperwork in and within 30 days, we closed on our home in the new location with no problem. And now, only thing I would say my second home was stressful is because it's a new build. If you ever had a new build, you know all the steps that it takes. It took 4 months for us to close on our house. We originally went under contract in December of 2023, I believe. Yeah, it was December of 2023. And keep in mind, it was just bare ground. No houses up yet. No, it was the whole area was just empty. I think, I take that back. It was probably like 3 houses up, but everything else is completely just empty. They really haven't started really building the community up yet. So we had to, watch from every step of that process of them laying down that foundation, them putting down, the bricks on there on the house, them putting the frame up, then doing the insides. Like we literally had to dreadfully watch every step. Like we just used to drive by and see all of our steps in the process. And just like, I can't wait till this be over with. And then you get nervous because you're like, okay, I can't buy anything. I can't make sure nothing hits my credit. Got to make sure I'm paying everything on time. And that was 4 long, dragging months. We ended up closing in June. So yeah, January, February, March, April, May, June. I'll take that back. That was 6 months that it took for us to find close. But you know what? They didn't really break ground until February. So that's why I'm thinking 4 months because they really didn't break ground until February. But yes, it was a long, drawn out time. So it was a little bit stressful for us because you just never know the unknown. You're in your head thinking, maybe this deal is not going to go through. Maybe something is going to happen. Maybe we just had so many things in our mind that was just so many negatives that was in our head. And I think the other thing too is because it was a VA loan and our first house was already on VA. So now we got our second house on VA and we couldn't get the first house sold yet. So that was the extra very stressful because you're trying to sell your first house at the same time while living in it and trying to close on this new house. And we couldn't get our house sold in time. So we had to go and rush and find renters. Luckily, we ended up getting a renter. We closed in June and we had a renter by July. So we only had to pay 1 month of mortgage at the old house before we had renters to cover the rest of those months. But that was very stressful. And then, of course, we didn't have to go through this, but negotiations. We didn't have to go through negotiations on none of our deals. But negotiation between agents, that can get there, especially when you have other buyers or sellers outbidding each other. That can get stressful as well. For many people, this is the biggest financial decision they'll ever make. So, of course, naturally, emotions will be involved. Luckily for us, we didn't have too many emotions involved. We'll see when we get to that selling of the old house. I don't think we have any, memories or anything behind it that will make us, be scared to sell it. But who knows? The final thing most people don't see is how much attention to detail that goes into every transaction. So we're talking about the deadlines, contract terms, paperwork, coordination. All of that is very vital because one missed detail can delay or even derail your deal. And I've seen it being a transaction analyst behind the scenes. And my part of what I do for my job now is I pay the agents out when they get done and take that deal to the closing table and they need to get their commission. We pay them out, and some of them don't get paid out because sometimes when you make it to that closing table, one missed deadline can mess everything up. One missed paperwork that the title company or attorney may need can mess things up. So just one small thing can derail everything. But so definitely pay attention to those details that goes behind the scenes. Real estate can be an amazing experience, but there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that most people never see. But I've been an agent for many years, and I have learned that you need to have preparation, patience, and the right team that'll help you get the job done. All of that makes a difference. If you enjoy learning about the real side of real estate and following my journey balancing work, family, and income streams, go ahead and follow along and make sure you subscribe.